and we're beginning to build a more modern industry or modern interface modern experience for our customers. I hope that answers your question, Habib. So there's a big role for regulators to play. They're playing it now. They must continue to play it. They must continue to play it, but we must ensure that it does not stifle innovation. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. Blessing says you address the major concerns we're having with digital transformation journey as it pertains to fintechs. And Habib says that, yes, that answers the question. That's sort of what's happening in the industry already. I just wanted to find out if anybody else wanted to ask a direct question. They can unmute themselves and ask you at this time.
Looks like I let off there.
That's good. Well, I like the part you talked about data analytics and predictive analysis. I think it's really important for the future and the kind of services that we offer our customers going forward. So that's good to do. If there are no questions, I think we'll bring it to an end here and then hand over to Mayo for now. Thank you, Seun, so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Hello, am I on?
Hello? Yes, you're on.
Thank you, Ophelia. Thank you, Mr. Shebu. It's nice hearing you. Thank you for that. That was excellent. That was brilliant. I don't want to take much time. I will go to the next session, and I'm going to invite Onyeka Oyedia to take over and present the next presentation. Yeah. Onyeka, are you here? Onyeka? I saw a couple of minutes. I think she's okay. I think I'll start when she comes back in. I think she'll pick up. Seem to lose her. Well, the next it's going to be a panel discussion, and I think Mr. Oluwaseun Adesoya is here already, and Mr. Sebastian Yali. Are we here?
Live and direct.
Yes, we're here. Wow, that was outstanding. Okay, good to see you, Mr. Sebastian. Good to see you, Mr. Oluwaseun Adesoya. Did I get it right? I'm always
Yes. There's just one Adesoya in the entire Nigeria.
And that must be my cousin that I know.
The other ones, their fathers borrowed my grandfather's name, so they are all paying back to the dividends now.
Okay. While we're waiting for Onyeka, let me just get her.
I'm here.
Okay, over to you. Sorry.
Okay. Hi, everyone. It's good to see you all. It's good to meet you. My name is Onyeka. I am a female financial inclusion enthusiast, and I'm super stoked to be moderating this panel. So this panel will be talking about digital financial services. We'll be exploring the opportunities, security, and emerging challenges with digital financial services. So we have two very powerful people on this panel. We have Mr. Sebastian Yali and Oluwaseun Adesoya. So I don't know, I guess Sebastian will go first. Sebastian has rich experience in rolling out digital products and services, ranging from payment cards, POS terminals, mobile money platforms, mobile banking, collections platforms to remittance products in the Ghanaian banking sector. His banking career spans over 15 years with 5 top-tier banks, which he held both managerial and executive level positions in digital banking, alternative channels, and card services. Sebastian is a highly successful business technology executive who has a can-do approach to projects. He specializes in financial technology, growth, and strategy for fintech startups, solutions delivery, operations management, innovations, and leadership. As a knowledge broker, he facilitates sessions on payment systems at the National Banking College and speaks on motivational topics. He also holds a master's in computer and internet application from the University of Bedfordshire and an executive MBA in project management. Sebastian is a member of the British Computer Society and is very passionate about aligning business and technology goals. Mr. Sebastian, welcome to the Ghana-Nigeria FinTech Summit for 2020. You already have the topic, so I guess it's over to you.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for having me on board, and thank you for your cherished listeners and participants. When it comes to the topic about digital financial services, looking at the opportunities, the securities, and the emerging challenges, I get very passionate about this topic because look, it's everywhere, and every single person around us would have experienced one way or the other something about digital financial services. Now, in terms of going straight into the discussions, I must say in this part of our world, especially in the sub-Saharan part of the world, digital financial services is really growing, and I must say we've done a very good job as a continent to try and push this agenda forward. However, you and I can attest to the fact that wherever there's growth, there are challenges. And wherever there are challenges, people try to find ways of outwitting the system. So there are obviously security and some challenges. Let's look at the opportunities before we go and discuss the challenges. And we're just going straight into the discussions. If you look at the fact that, now let's take even Ghana. Mobile money, I would say, has been the biggest thing that has happened to this part of our digital financial services evolution. Now, there cannot be any discussion in Ghana about digital financial services without touching on mobile money. We've had cards, we've had internet payments, we've had mobile payments. However, mobile money has been the biggest thing. And I would say in this part of our world, it's good. We know what is good for us, and we make sure we harness and push those things. It's very obvious that the stuff about internet payment and the stuff about mobile payment and stuff is good. But however, mobile money is something that has worked very hard for us. So it's one of the biggest opportunities that we've had. The other thing I want to talk about is that, listen, let's look at Kenya. It's also in Africa. It's actually the trailblazer when it comes to mobile money with the M-Pesa story. That has been very good. In Cameroon, we have mobile money as well. In Zambia, we have mobile money as well. So largely, that has done very well for us. So that is more like a top story in terms of digital services. And I'm actually looking at the other things in terms of online payment and stuff. But these are really, really the area I would say the continent has done very, 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 very well in. Now, what has actually been driving this? I think largely there's been good regulation. I think virtually in every country, you have the regulators showing an interest in what is happening in the space. So virtually almost every country is formulating laws and regulations that is going to guide how payment within this ecosystem will take place. So in recent times in Ghana, for instance, the Central Bank of Ghana has actually launched the Payment Systems and Services Act, for which is actually meant to propel the industry. I know some countries like Nigeria is also doing very well in that space, and the likes of Zambia is also doing very well. So virtually, regulators have shown very keen interest in this space because it's very important that this area gets regulated. Like I said earlier on, everywhere there's growth, everywhere there happens to be attention, people would find ways and means of not doing the right things. And so regulation, I'd say, is good. There's also general government commitment. So you would actually know that every country is pushing towards a cash light or a cashless economy. And so even from a government point of view, payment within the sector, payment within government, everybody's trying to streamline one way or the other how to save costs and how to be much more efficient, hence the push for digital payments and digital technology. So I would say our government have done a yeoman's job, even though there's a lot of things or there's a lot of improvements to do in that space, but I think largely it's good. There's also a growing mobile and internet access. So if you look at 10 years ago here in the African continent, you could hardly find a lot of people with smartphones. Now, thanks to our Chinese brothers who have made smartphones very affordable and cheap, almost every person out there on the street can have some form of a smartphone. that can enable them to do mobile payments and can have access to the internet. So the internet proliferation around our continent has also aided in our growth. And that is something that is also good. And then the general development of the financial systems is also good. So now almost every financial institution is being mindful of the fact that we need to bring on board the unbanked. Everybody is thinking about how to offer services to the last mile customer at the cheapest rate. So agency banking is something that is growing, and everybody is looking at how do we take banking or how do we take financial services to the doorstep of even the very, very deprived people. And I think these are a few of the driving factors. I'm sure people in the audience might have some other things they want to add, but I think these are the key things that has really helped us in that direction. Now, opportunities. In terms of opportunities, I would say there are a lot of opportunities, like I've outlined earlier on. In this part of our world, there's a large informal sector. Now, the reason why financial inclusion is not a big agenda in the guys in the European countries is the fact that virtually there are a lot of people. There's more like saturation in the financial sector where everybody simply has a bank account and it's very easy. Here we have a large informal sector, and it's actually our responsibility to bring the informal sector on board. These guys are actually looking for solutions that cost less. They are looking for solutions that can scale, and they are looking for solutions that have minimum entry barriers. And that is something that is an advantage that we have on our side. And so people are actually leveraging on this sector to develop innovative products such as micro loans, micro savings, and investment and insurance products to actually target the informal sector, which is something that is good that we've done. There's also the growing desire for merchant acquiring. And so there's a lot of people, supermarket shops that are willing to, one way or the other, improve on their revenues and are actually partnering with financial institutions to offer some level of agency banking and taking banking close. So that is also something that is ripe in our region. There's also a lot of intersector collaboration. So now virtually fintech and bank collaboration has become a buzzword in every bank and in every sector of the economy. So you will not go into any bank where people are planning their strategy for the next year or two without mentioning about the need to collaborate with a fintech. So that is something that is also happening. There's a lot of collaborations. There's a collaboration with insurance companies, utilities. Everybody is thinking, how do we put that payment on a handset or a handheld device that will make the next person willing to pay? It's been a proven fact that, listen, in this part of our world, sometimes we think people don't like to pay bills. But a research has actually shown that people like to pay bills as long as it's very convenient and close to them to pay. And so I think it's another area that we need to look at. Open APIs have become the order of the days. And in Ghana, for instance, we have virtually all the mobile money agents or banks building open APIs that would enable smaller fintechs to connect to. What basically they're trying to do in that space is that to expose their customer base to these smaller fintechs so they can build products and services around these customers. And at the end of the day, everybody goes home happy because fees and commissions are earned and people get to improve on their non-funded income, especially if it's a banking institution. So open APIs are good. It creates innovation, helps smaller fintechs build products and services. And then there's another area which is really propelling or which is actually growing is actually the cross-border trading. So for example, even within the West African sub-region, there's all this talk about ECOWAS free trade. There's actually trading amongst ourselves. And the question is, without, that actually presents a very good opportunity for us to actually be able to propel digital payment, because I should be able to offer services to somebody in another country within the sub-region and then use an electronic means to pay. Remittance across borders is quite huge. And so it's also leveraging on digital financial services. And so now people are doing cross-border trade, cross-border payment, very seamless. And that is something that I'll say is to our advantage and presents huge opportunities to us in this space. That's fine, but like I said, whilst we present opportunities, there are also risks and issues related to fraud and theft, which can actually erode all the gains that we've made if not addressed. So the biggest thing that we're having in this space, especially in terms of security, is identity theft. That is an age-old problem, and as we try to promote digital payment, it's something that we really need to look at. So we need, as fintechs and as institutions that intend to drive financial inclusion and develop products and services for the market, to really look at how strong our authentication mechanisms are. There's actually a balance that we need to derive, because the more we strengthen or the harder we become in terms of our authentication mechanism, the difficult it is for people to onboard and the difficult it is for people to transact. So we need to find a balance between these two, just so we can create the right fit to promote the level of usage we expect vis-a-vis the level of security we want to provide. There's also the issue about phishing attacks, and phishing attacks all over. People keep getting fake emails being sent to people to say, click on this link, you've won a prize, you've done this, you can download X amount of money, your wallet to be credited with this. And people click on that, their computers are attacked, their details are stolen, and innocent people fall prey to this. And that is something that I would say, as developers and as regulators, together with players in the industry, we really, really would have to educate our customers in that front, because that is an area our customers are fallen victims to. There's also phishing or vishing attacks, and this one is more phone calls. If you are actually a Ghanaian resident, and I'm sure in certain part of the world as well, especially in this part of Africa, there's a growing interest in that space where you have a lot of fraudsters who have capitalized on the growth, especially in the mobile money space, and calling unsuspected customers and trying to defraud them. They call you and tell you there's a prize or there's an award that you've won in this space. And so there's something that we're trying to do, we're trying to update our database, or you're a customer and you're getting X, and unsuspecting customers fall prey. They get them to do transactions, steal their details, and actually move money from their wallet. That is something that I know our telcos are doing a lot of work on it, but our regulator would have to be interested in, our security companies would have to be interested in, and such perpetrators should be brought to book. There's also the smishing attacks, which is more like sending fake messages. For example, 2 days ago, I got a message from somebody saying they've transferred some money mistakenly into my wallet. Unfortunately for the guy, even the spelling of how the message was worded was even false. The guy couldn't even spell transaction or payment. And I was like, really? Are you telling me this is coming from a telco who cannot even spell the word transaction? Please come again and revise your note. But I think this is some trick that people are getting used to it, and you guys need to become innovative. But you know how these guys are, they get offended and can even send you foul messages and stuff. Now there's personal identification number, which almost every system has as a form of authentication. I would actually urge service providers and people in this space to actually come up with mechanisms where people will often change their passwords, especially when they feel that it's compromised, and also create avenues for such changes to be done frequently. There's agent-driven fraud here in Ghana, where agency banking or agents that we've set up to promote financial inclusion are actually conniving with fraudsters to actually defraud customers. And so people go to these agent points to do transactions, and their details are stolen and reused at some other times. And so this is something that requires customer education and participation from all stakeholders. The biggest threat, I would say, aside all these things, and very often when we talk about security, we always think about the outsider. There's also growing insider jobs where you have people internally committing fraud. And so people who have access to these systems, people who work in institutions that are providing financial or digital financial services, have perpetrated fraud and have been arrested in some instances. So as we start looking out for fraudsters outside, we also need to be sure that we're screening and onboarding mechanisms for people who work on such systems. It's actually looked at seriously, because a lot of the fraud that we encounter also comes from insider jobs. And that is something that is really affecting the economy and actually affecting the growth of the services across board. Now, what are the challenges? So you actually understand that for all these things to work properly, there's some reliance or over-reliance on our GSM network. So here in this part of our world, the telco infrastructure, I would say, is growing. Even though the telcos are putting a lot of effort, there's still room for improvement. So you have instances where people have done transactions and are trying to confirm or authenticate themselves, and the systems are timing out, or people have sent money to other people using the mobile network and the messages have not been delivered, and there's a whole lot of challenges in that space. There's also the issue about taxation. Now you have certain government institutions trying and looking very well, knowing very well that there's actually a growth in this space, have tried to find out whether they can tax the mobile money transactions just to make extra revenue. I think for those people, I would say to them that, listen, there's a general, look, digital financial services is actually supposed to promote the entire economy and help grow our economies. There can be other innovative ways of making money or getting revenue, and we should not necessarily focus on taxing such transactions. Now, what is happening is that in other countries, like Kenya, in other countries like Zambia and Mali, where such things have been done, suddenly there's a dip in such transactions. And so I would actually entreat our politicians and our tax people to try and spare this area, even though people might have dissenting views. That is my personal view. The other thing that we also need to look at, and from surveys that we've done, it looks like the cost of transactions for offering these digital services are quite high, especially if we are trying to bring the people in the remotest part of the countries on board the financial system. So we as industry players and as financial technology companies, we need to look at what solutions and channels we can deploy at the lowest cost, just so these transactions can be very cheap and convenient. Licensing and regulation is also another area which is offering challenges. So for example, here in Ghana now, there's been regulation, even though the regulation is good, but people are required to pay money to be able to set up a fintech, to be able to play in this space. That actually offers some level of barrier, but I think it's good, even though it's going to put some players out of the market, but it's good to sanitize the economy and make sure that everybody is operating at the right frequency and the right level of visibility is being given to the regulator, because we are the same people who come back when something goes wrong to blame the regulators. And I think generally what we have to do is the level of literacy is also a challenge, and it's something that we'll have to look at. I think that as a basic, every simple digital financial product should come with a basic manual in various languages so that the people with different backgrounds can be able to appreciate. And I think we should also focus on making sure that systems are very simple to use, the user interfaces are very good, and people should aim at completing a transaction at a 1, 2, 3 step. Transaction should be completed, not long, complicated protocols, and not long, complicated things that people can hardly understand. In conclusion, I think it's good. The environment is ripe. Regulators are in our favor. Technologies are available. There's the enthusiasm from everybody. The people are excited about this. What I would say is that stakeholders will need to collaborate more and work together to deliver superior services to customers. Regulators would have to be nimble and make sure they are ahead of the game, because sometimes the regulators are like 2 or 3 years behind what is happening. It is something that I would say the regulators should show keen interest. In Ghana, regulators have shown interest, and I know in certain part of the African countries, regulators have shown interest, but it's something that has to be done across board, just so it can help everybody. Developers and people who implement solutions must be high on security.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I think largely that is my point here. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you.
The issue now is which we want to address now.
Can everybody hear me?
They have raised it before, and we told them we have made promotion for agents. Like they give our own contract is like 5%.
Can you all hear?
Hello?
There's nothing to hide.
Can you all hear me?
Right?
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I think there's some interference.
Okay,
yes,
but is it bad?
Everyone else needs to go on mute though.
I mean, everyone seems to be on mute right now. Hello, can you hear me now? Am I on?
I can hear. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Sebastian.
All right, that's fine. So I think in conclusion, the other thing that I would say is that look, digital financial services is fine. People are transacting. They've shown interest in the product and services. They are using it. This presents us with a lot of data that we need to start mining. Now, every single player in the industry will need to mine the data and make sure that they actually deliver products and services that have predictive natures, that have analytics in them, so we're able to predict our customers' behavior and offer products and services that can exceed and pass their expectations. In a nutshell, that is what I would say. The environment is ripe, and it can only get exciting. Thank you very much for my presentation, and I'm available for questions and contributions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sebastian Yale. It's nice to have you on. We're running out of time, and we'll just go straight to Mr. Oluwaseun Adesanya. So in the next 10 minutes.
Okay, good.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. Olu, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, but take over.
Don't you think we should take questions for Sebastian before we move to Sheon? Hi, Sheon.
Let's just go to Sheon, then we'll just wrap it up. It's easier to wrap up questions than to wrap up presentation.
Okay, awesome. Hi, Sheon. So let me presents to some and introduce to others. Shehu is a dynamic professional with strong passion for attaining set objectives. He has decades of experience in various sectors across Africa, driving new initiatives in emerging markets towards achieving significant and successful milestones at every opportunity. Shehu is a passionate and great advocate of fintech, financial services, data, new ideas, financial inclusion, and the social impact that generates through the most cost-efficient innovation or innovative and practical approach. Shehu is a leading speaker and facilitator at various international conferences and workshops where he has shared platforms with great industry leaders, regulators, and various stakeholders. He currently drives the strategy, innovation, and international business of a leading Pan-African electronic payments company called System Specs, who are the owner of the award-winning and robust platforms that a lot of us in Nigeria know, such as Remita, Human Manager, and Paylink. Oh, I like Paylink. I use Paylink, which have revolutionized electronic transactions and consolidated the public financial management through the TSA initiative. That's the Treasury Single Account Initiative. Shehu is an alumnus of the Bowen University. He holds an MBA degree from the University of Lagos and is a council member of the umbrella body of fintech companies in Nigeria, the Fintech Association of Nigeria. So Shehu, welcome to the Ghana Nigeria Fintech Summit 2020. You have the floor.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. And I also want to thank the organizer for having us this opportunity to rub mind and share thoughts on how we can help to improve financial services across Africa. And thank you once again for this privilege. And I think the previous speakers before me, they've laid very good foundation. And it's always difficult when you put PhD holders and professors ahead of an undergraduate. It's a big task. But I believe that there are one or two lessons that we might share together that will help in our various environments and how we can improve value to end user. So permit me to start with 4 basic questions which I want to tailor my discussion on. First is the aspect of what do we mean by digital financial services? I think it started from a puzzle side, and I guess it's getting clearer to everybody to understand what exactly do we mean by digital financial services. Does digital financial services mean...
Permit me to comment. Do you have a slide to share?
No. I'll just speak from my notes. Tomorrow is for slide.
Okay, that's fine. That's
awesome. So what do we mean by that? Is it because there is now increase in mobile phones, smartphones, or because there is an increase in internet penetration, or both? It could be the combination of two. There are a lot of things going on in the mind of everybody to actually understand what exactly do we mean by digital financial services. And this is very, very critical for us to have a good understanding of what we mean, because I have been across all the various markets in Lagos. There are 424 registered markets in Lagos. I went to all this market in my way of gathering intelligence. And so shocking to hear the things I got from the market women and the market men. And I realized that there is a big gap between the supply side and on the demand side. And permit me to explain what I mean by the demand and the supply. The demand sides are the people who actually need the services. And there are 3 things they said, which is as simple as ABC. 1, they need accessibility. 2, they need benefits. Then the 3rd thing is that they need convenience. And those are the 3 things I gathered from the market people to say, if these 3 things can be available, we don't mind the channel you use, whether digital, whether orthodox, whether formal or traditional, we don't care. But these 3 things are important. What do they mean by accessibility? Accessibility because they realize that if you want me to keep my money with you, I should be able to have access to it at any point in time. One of them gave me a particular example. He said he's into importation, and the way it works in importation is once container lands, they start saying who wants to buy this container. If you are not there with your cash, you understand, or you are not ready to move the money to the account, that is the end of it. He said, do you know how difficult it is for me that after I put my money in the bank, now to get that money out of the bank becomes a problem. And the guy is from our brother from the East, and he said, my money. Can you imagine, my brother, my money? Yes, and it was so funny to me. So funny to me because it is also very, very important. And a lot of the financial institutions have tried to solve this aspect of accessibility by creating branches and so on and so forth. But I think the whole narration and discussion is moving beyond bricks and mortar to leveraging technology to be able to provide services to those who need those services. The second thing is the benefits. And they said to me that keeping money in the bank should be to their own advantage rather than to the advantage of the bank. And it makes sense. It makes sense because what the bank actually need is the deposit. But how come I'm keeping deposit with you and I'm not gaining any value? Rather, you end up to debit my account for transaction fee, for keeping money. And at the end of it, a woman said to me, I kept 10,000 naira in the bank. But by the time I want to withdraw the money is now 8,500. It now has the question, now, who is actually benefiting? So the aspect of benefit is also on the side of the demand side. Of course, the third thing is convenience. How convenient is it for me to have and to benefit from the services rendered by the bank and also to have access to my money? So those are the three things that the demand sides are asking for. ABC, like I said, accessibility, benefit, and also convenience. But on the supply side, I mean the financial institutions who are actually rendering the financial services. They are taking another dimension. And what is the dimension they are taking? They changed the ABC to DEF. And what is DEF? They said the most important thing to them is deposits. They need deposits. And of course, those who are in the financial institution, you will agree with me that the most crazy thing we have in the institution now is how we give targets, unrealistic targets to salespeople or to marketers to go out and just make sure they get in deposits. So deposit is critical to them. Number two is earnings. And for them, earnings means we don't care. You understand? We don't care the benefits to the consumer. All we care about is what we earn from you. So they look for every possible means of making money from customers that are actually doing them a favor by putting deposits in their banks. And I think these are the things that we need to look at in order to form a convergence of value that could be a win-win to every other person. Of course, the third thing is financial muscle. Oh, they need financial muscle so that they can be called the top banks in Nigeria or top banks in Africa or this and that. And you will realize that if you look at the history in Nigeria, several of those who have earned those titles, some of them probably have been hacked by regulation or taken over. And the question is, now they've gone, the individual or the customers, they are still here. So who has actually benefited from the entire whole scheme? So these are the two powerful forces that we need to bring together and form a convergence. And of course, it is very, very important that digital becomes an avenue for all stakeholders to be able to get much more than what they have at the moment. Like I said, a lot of foundation has been laid, and I don't need to speak on those foundations. Rather, I need to speak on what are the things that are much more important. So what are the opportunities? Opportunities that are coming in from digital financial services, from the convergence of the demand force and also the supply force. The first opportunity that is coming in is the aspect of data. Now, there is a need for us to have a convergence of data, aggregation of data, like Sebastian said, so that we can be able to identify opportunities that will create value to people. In my visit to all the markets in Lagos, I realized that the women, they are not against digital, but the fundamental problem that they had was the aspect of trust. And they said, because we've trusted people in the past who came in the name of digital and end up taking all our money away. And we are more or less digging while we are even in the deep in the pit. It's also, it's not just about digital, it's about trust. And trust means a lot to them. Trust in terms of the people that are coming to render these financial services, they are actually creating a win-win rather than they are just after deposit, they are just after earning and want to be the biggest financial institution. That it must be a win-win. And it will be so shocking to hear that even the FMFBs, the SUSUs, the AJO, they are actually widening the poverty gap for these people at the bottom of the pyramid. And a pretty practical example was a woman who said to me that I borrowed money from Lapo. And if you're in Nigeria, you know Lapo Microfinance, you can't run when you borrow money from them. You must cough out the money. He said, but because I'm not able to pay back because of the interest and some other things, he said I had to go to Action to go and borrow money so that I can pay Lapo. And when Action period came, I had to go to another microfinance, which is grooming, and go and borrow money. So the end of it is that this woman ended up to be in debt all her life. And she said, what we need is somebody who is thinking about us. And guess what? These women that we're even talking about, there's no insurance for them. There is no HMO for them. So they're actually the one bearing everything on their own. And those are the things that we believe that if digital is going to come into it, it must be such that we identify all these various gaps and see how we can close. So data is the biggest opportunity. Not even the technology, it's actually the data. And you believe that there are several data flying everywhere. There is communication data, there is lending data, there is consumer data, there is this data. There is a need to have an aggregation of those data such that we could help to create more value for consumer, such that even government could leverage those data to increase internal generated revenue, which is very, very important for any government. Of course, what are the security? The security is also data. That one of the things we need to do is to ensure that as we gather this data, we protect it to the level at which consumers are much more comfortable with whatever we present to them. Oftentimes you get, like Sebastian said, get several links from different people, asking for click this link, do this, and you keep wondering, how did they get my number? How did they get this? How did they get that? And I think that's where government needs to step in ensuring that consumer protection is critical in assessing consumer data or providing value to consumers. And that is very, very important in the aspect of security. Of course, the challenges still lies in all the things that we've identified from the demand side and also the supply side. One is the aspect of accessibility. Accessibility now can be through probably creating agents such that people can have access to their money at when they need access to it. Because don't forget, like we always believe that the way it works in Kenya, it should work in Nigeria. There are two different environments. There are two different cultures. The culture in Nigeria is cash-based. I have more value in my community because I have money in cash, not in accounts. Because it is the money you dash to people that actually make them to give you the value that you expect from them. So it is a different ball game, and that's the reason why it is very, very important that we must create access. Because for us to move them to digital, we first need to embrace the current way of performing financial services. And one of the things some people are trying to do currently now in Nigeria is to launch a service to the market women such that they are leveraging existing relationship, the Susu and Ajo, and bring digital into it. And one of the companies doing that is Smartella. Smartella is a young company that is helping to digitize collection across cooperative, across informal sector. And they've done pretty well in that space because they've been able to understand that we can't just move people to digital if first we don't embrace what they currently trust. Number two is the aspect of the data quality. And this is where aggregation of data will speak to it. Meaning that, imagine, in Nigeria, for example, I supply the same data when I'm doing my SIM registration, when I'm doing my account registration, when I'm going to NIPSI, when I'm going to Nigerian Federal Road Safety for driver's license, when I'm also going to the likes of national passports, immigration. So the question is that everybody keep collecting the same data. How come there is no aggregation of those data such that we can provide quality? So when you call Shewa Adesanya, you don't need any other information. Just as it works in the US with your security ID, you understand, people can have details about who you are. And that is very, very important. As a challenge, we need to see how we can collectively speak to. The third thing, of course, is connectivity. And this has to do with technology, where internet penetration is much more on the increase side. And of course, the way people have helped to solve this is to say, rather than even focusing on mobile app alone, we can leverage technology to deliver service using USSD. And those who are in Nigeria will realize that most of the big banks, they are making more money from USSD even than from any other digital channels, because it's cheaper, it earns them more money than any other channels that they have. And that is the reason, because connectivity is on the increase, and connectivity has to be a collective effort. But both the telco, the regulator, seeing how there could be coverage across the entire ecosystem, so that it can help to provide other services that we need to. Of course, the fourth thing is seamless process. Seamless process means that easy for customers to be able to onboard without all the big requirements. As many of you see the application form for insurance in Nigeria, you of course you will testify to it that probably that's the reason why a lot of people are even running away from doing insurance. The kind of information they request is such that you are so much discouraged. All you just have to do is to give the agent money and say, just go and fill the form. And the agent fill form based on his own understanding. But when issue of claim comes, then becomes a big problem. And insurance people will tell you that, sorry, the informations were not accurate. As a result, we are not able to pay you your claims. And as a result, people are now then become to say, why do I even need to take insurance? So seamless process is also very required. Beyond seamless process is also the aspect of value-added services. Value-added services comes from not just the technology, it also comes from intelligence gathering, understanding the current situation, the customers, and being able to say what exactly are the gaps that we can bring up solutions to speak to. And this is very, very important. And I'm glad to say that System Specs launched the first successful data-driven lending business in Nigeria. So successful that the partnering bank confidently boasts that they were able to open 2 million accounts in a day. All we did was just leveraging the intelligence of the data we have on our platform and being able to ask what other value can we provide to consumer. And it has been successful. And of course, a lot of institutions are also trying to replicate that. So those are the things that institution needs to look at. And believe you me, the last thing is, I think, is more or less collaboration rather than competition. Competition is important, but however, we believe that collaboration can help to close several gaps. I don't need to replicate the wheel. When I know there is an institution that is already into it, all I need to do is to see how we can build a layer on those things that they're currently doing, so that we can provide more value. And I think the ecosystem needs to speak more in terms of social value. What value are we adding to people? Are we just doing things because we want to earn more money and increase deposit and become the giant financial institution? Or we are doing it because we actually want to create value that can be long sustaining, value that can indeed make more impact on people. Of recent, I'm talking with some people, and the things that they're about to do is so much interesting to me. And they said their focus is only to the market women alone, such that they help them they create access to loan for them, they provide HMO, they provide insurance. And I'm saying, providing all these things comes at cost. And guess what? We realize that it's not even so much expensive. Imagine an institution ready to provide 1,000 naira premium for 100,000 in case of a business is going underground, or in case of anything that happened to their business. The value was so much interesting to me. And I said, these are the things we should find a way of embracing. These are the things we should find a way of helping to deliver, so that we can end up to create an ecosystem that creates a win-win for everybody. And the honest truth is, I don't think there is any way the banks will be taken out of the market. Don't forget, they are actually the custodian of deposits. The only thing they need to do is to find a way of embracing other stakeholders in delivering value. I think at this point, let me give room to questions and answer, and while we look for how today's section can help to gain more ground for everybody. Thank you once again.
Okay, thank you so much. Can everyone hear me? Thank you very much, Hill. Thank you very much, Sebastian, for your very enlightening questions. Please, if you have questions, you can quickly post it so that you can ask our speakers. I have a few questions. I'll start with you, Sebastian. I know that Ghana had launched their digital financial services policy earlier in May. So could you sort of like give insight to how like Global accelerates, how you guys are working in implementing these policies? That's my first question. And then my next question is, I know you had spoken about how active mobile money is in Ghana. You know, I think of your 19 million adult population, if I'm correct, you have over 70% of people that are active mobile money users, which is a very, 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 very impressive number. So could you like highlight what you would attribute as success factors as to why you have quite a decent adoption rate for mobile financial services in Ghana? Thank you.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you very much, Onyeka. I think I'll take the last one first. I think mobile money has largely become very successful because of what I would say the enabling environment that has been created. And so please note that the mobile money, when it started, Ghanaians are naturally slow adapters, right? So when mobile money started, it didn't take off in this grand style like you're saying now. It started off, and I think for the year, 2-3 years, it was really not doing well. But the telcos had the confidence and had faith in the fact that this is something that would work, and they kept on pumping money into it. And so even though people were not transacting, they kept on building the agent network, recruiting agent. Yeah, hello? Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes,
okay. So, all right, so they kept on recruiting agents, they kept on driving and promoting the product. So I just want to put that in perspective. Now, when it started catching on, this thing has become like bushfire now. One, the environment is right. I think the telcos are doing something well. And in Ghana, this is actually a bank-led approach. So what really happened was that the telcos are providing the platform whilst the banks are actually keeping the money. So telcos provide a platform and recruit agents whilst the bank keep the float. But now every bank is thinking, what do I get from home, or what do I have to do to hold the biggest float? And so banks are actually forming some sort of collaboration with the telcos to push the product. So the model, which is the bank-led, has helped. The regulatory environment has helped. And I think the environment, i.e., there was no efficient remittance, inward remittance product at the time when mobile money came, and mobile money had then proven itself as something that you can rely on, or something that you can trust to do a person-to-person transfer. And these three factors, from my opinion, has largely contributed to the success of mobile money here in Ghana. And so if you're in another country where there are other alternative, efficient ways of transferring money, then maybe you will not have the same story like we have in Ghana. Is that okay? Does that address your question?
Okay, well, yes, it does. So what I can gather as well from, I think your last point is like delineation of duties, because, you know, for us in Nigeria, when with the advent of CBN saying, oh, payment service banks, I know as of now, MTN has still not gotten their license for that. So it's, I think the way it's been done, I don't know if maybe traditional banks see them as competitors rather than collaborators, because what you have explained from what you've said, I can see there's the first mover advantage, like you said, because of inward remittances. So mobile money was literally what they had, and that was what they were able to capitalize on, unlike Nigeria, that we've had a couple of other things, you know, because mobile money had not been successful initially. But now it's not looking like, okay, with payment service banks, it's like, oh, you all want to take, you know, my pie, you understand? So is it because the telcos are just, you know, providing that infrastructure, like that's that, and then banks are just doing float, as against the modern Nigeria is seeking to adopt to the payment service banks, where mobile mobile operators, that's the telcos now, literally are going to have the payment service bank license where they can also do banking services. So I don't know if that's why we're a bit slower on the uptake, because it looks more competitive, like there's no separation of duties.
Well, I think the model in Nigeria can also be a factor, but like I said earlier on, here the banks clearly understand that they are collaborating with the telcos, and so I think until recently, where we had the largest commercial bank in Ghana, which is the Ghana Commercial Bank, going for a mobile money license to try and compete with the telcos, every other person was like, listen, let's work with the telcos. We don't have the muscle to fight these telcos because they've made an investment. And banks were also very lazy to invest in solutions that would touch the last mile. So we're very comfortable sitting in our big head offices and making sure that, listen, we're looking for the big deposits. The telcos realize that there's an opportunity or there's big money in small value transactions. They came up with a technology that can do that, and the banks only could just participate or partner. But it's not really competing in Ghana. I think it's more of collaboration in Ghana, and that is what has actually helped the country here.
Okay. All right. Then one more thing. Sorry, everyone else. I know that part of
taking time now.
Okay, no problem. Let me ask other people if they have questions. I don't know if you have questions for Shion. You can unmute your mic or raise your hand, and then we'll unmute your mic and get you to ask your questions so that we can move on to the other sessions. Thank you so much, Sebastian, for your very enlightening answer to my questions.
Thank you very much.
So is there anyone? I can't see any questions in the comments. I can't see any questions. Someone had asked earlier about what role does regulator play in this? I think that question was for the first speaker, actually. So I don't know if the first speaker is still here, if he didn't answer the question. What role does regulators play in this regards to the decision to play in the front end or back end? Yeah, I don't quite understand that question, Habib. Okay, I guess we can move on from that. If anyone else has a question, you could ask. Raise your hand. Okay, Moses has a question. How are fintech companies addressing the social impact of true financial inclusion of the grassroots in the economies? Okay, Sheon, would you like to answer that question? Because I'm very curious. I want to know the answer. So I'll repeat the question. How are the fintech companies addressing the social impact of true financial inclusion?
So the first thing is, there is a misconception of what financial inclusion is all about at the grassroots. Financial inclusion does not mean that these people don't actually perform financial transactions. They actually do more transactions. You'll be shocking to hear that the total, the combination of all digital services rendered by banks and fintechs in Nigeria is just 7.8% of the total financial services in Nigeria. So there are close to 92.1% that are currently being done with the informal sector, so to say. So first, we need to understand that these people actually perform financial services,
The second thing we need to do is to then be able to then embrace what they currently have. How are they performing it as we speak? And being able to let them, give them assurance that whatever we are giving to them is such that can deliver the same value that they are getting as we speak. The truth is, a lot of them believe so much in the informal collection. They believe so much in whatever formal, informal style or informal system that they currently have. And believe you me, those things are actually delivering value to them. Like I said, one of my findings shows that those who are actually lending to them, lending at tremendous interest rates, but they are comfortable with it because those guys are available to them and those guys are giving them that money as when they need to do. So fintech needs to first come and have an understanding of what currently exists and being able to see how they can digitize that process that it gives them the same value that they currently have, and then find a way of adding to that value. If we don't do that, what we then realize is that everybody run away from everything that we are trying to bring, even though we think we're actually adding value to them, but to them, they are not seeing it as value. So we need to first study them. We need to then help to digitize whatever they have as a process or as a value and see how we can add more value to it. In so doing, I strongly believe that there will be increase in social impact, especially to those at the bottom of the pyramid.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Seun. Okay, one last question. Apart from lending, what other values are the fintechs providing to the SME segment? Yes. Final question. I don't know, anyone can take it? Sebastian, Sebastian, yeah, Sebastian, you can take that.
Okay. All right. So apart from lending, I think the other thing is that financial services, fintechs are actually doing, it's also to provide some sort of insight. And so you would notice that we have built applications that can predict customers' behavior. We're actually giving them tools that can help them track their spending patterns. We're also helping them buy micro insurance on phones and stuff. So we're not only into lending, but we're also looking at the lifestyle of these individuals, and we're building products and services that can help us tap into, or that can actually fit into their lifestyle. So there's pensions in there, there's insurance, there's micro insurance in there. There's also savings. So it's not only lending. So for example, here in Ghana, you have a bank like Fidelity Bank that has partnered with MTN to roll out something called the Yellow Save, where there's also savings and people are actually earning good interest rates. So there's a lot of things we're doing, not only in lending. Is that okay?
Okay, I think that answers your question. Moses, I think that answers the question. So I guess bringing it to the Nigerian market or economy, you can replicate same things. So you have a couple of people that are sending micro insurance. You get all those messages where you can pay like a monthly premium that is not so expensive. And then you have some other people doing micro pension, and then you have other fintechs, you know, that are doing some sort of investments, crowd investments, crowd savings. You have PiggyVest and the rest of them. So for Moses, I hope we have sufficiently answered your question. So thank you very much again, Seun. Thank you, Sebastian, and for every other participant that has joined us for this panel session. My name again, Onyeka Akwaida, founder of Ranger Foundation. Thank you very much, Maiwa, for having me as well, moderating this panel. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. I think you will all agree with me that it's been an engaging moment, and I think we are all, sorry. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can. We can hear you. Well, I can.
Hear you.
I can hear you.
Yes.
Hello, can you all hear me? Hello?
Yes.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Can hear you.
Oh, okay, thank you. It's been an interesting session, and thank you everyone for participating thus far. We will just go to the next segment. Next segment, we're going to be talking about strategic partnership to bring people and organizations together during and post-COVID, because it's like we're in the post-COVID era right now. So I will invite the speakers, Wisdom Alawuse, and Mr. Raji Adegoke will be representing Ernest Udeje here today. And Nat Robinson is not here, but I need to get her name, but she's here representing Nat Robinson. That's
Tori Sample.
Sorry, I'm trying to get your name. You can help me out right there. I can see you. You just came up.
Yes, Tori Samples from Leaf. I'm the co-founder.
You're not on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Your mic is off.
Can anyone else hear me?
Can hear you.
I can hear you well. I can hear you.
Okay, sorry.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, I think it's from my end. Okay, I'm trying to get to your profile so I can read out your name. I'm sorry about that. If that's taking a little time, can you please tell everybody here your name and where you're from? Tori Samples. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got it now.
Yes,
okay.
All good. So
okay, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Tori Samples, and I am the co-founder and chief technology officer of Leaf Global Fintech, which is a fintech. We're global, as the name implies, but headquartered in Africa and Rwanda. And so I'm in Kigali, that's where I'm based, but our operations are Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya so far, and looking to add Nigeria and Ghana in addition to DRC in the coming months. So very honored to be here today, getting to speak from the East and to this wonderful group of people that has already shared so much knowledge today. So I'm sure that I'll get to share more about what we do with Leaf over the coming panel, and I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
I think we still have Mr. Raji Adegoke here. Are you here? If not, Wisdom Alawuse, I think I saw you a couple of minutes back. Are you here?
Hello, can everybody hear me?
We can hear you, but I can't see you.
Awesome.
I can't see you.
Okay, can you see my face?
I'm looking for your face. Okay,
my video is there, yeah.
It's on.
All right, great.
Okay,
awesome.
Mr. Raji Adegoke, are you here? I can't seem to hear you. Can everybody hear him out? You're not on. Your mic is not on. Your mic is not on. Okay, while it's fixing that, are you?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah, you're okay. Actually, mentioned the topic we are talking about right now. It's strategic partnership to bring people and organizations together during COVID and even after COVID, because in some countries they are getting into the post-COVID era. So we'll just take it like this. Each speaker will have about 8 minutes to talk, and at the end of it, we take questions and answer. I'll be moderating the 8 minutes. 8 minutes is going to be 8 minutes. So it's always good to say ladies first. So we're African, so we'll say ladies first. So Tori Samples, nice to have you. Over to you. You have 8 minutes to speak.
Thank you for the privilege. Happy to share first. And I'll start by saying, there's been so much knowledge that's already shared today. We've heard from differing opinions. We've heard some different takes on some different technologies.
We have family plan. We have Takafu Isusu plan, Takafu Hajj, and Umrah plan. So you can also.
There we go. Thank you. So we've heard different takes on technologies, and so I'll share my perspective today. But know that it is only one perspective, and if COVID has taught us anything, it's that we have to react quickly, even if it's not what we expected. So we've seen that change over time, even in the last 6 months. And so I would open by saying, each person will find their own way. I do want to share some slides just briefly to talk about Leaf to set the context for what we're doing. So let me share this. And I won't go through all of this, but I think it will help the audience understand the particular problem that we're trying to address. So with Leaf, we are really focused on people who have been forced to leave their homes and those people that are crossing borders carrying cash, which, as we've discussed today, we all know it is very dangerous, inconvenient, and expensive to exchange, whether you're carrying your life savings or just have to have a lot of money in your pockets. Even if it's a small amount, if it's your last money, it's your most important money. And so that is the focus area that we have with Leaf. With Leaf, we are, I would adjust this maybe to say, a global virtual wallet for the stateless and excluded. And we allow people with that to store and transport their money across borders. We are focused mostly on East Africa at this point, but as I mentioned, very much looking forward to expanding into West Africa and some different markets across the world as well. We are blockchain based, which I'm happy to talk about. I know that that's an interesting, somewhat controversial take, depending on where you are in the world. I think both Nigeria and Ghana have been very receptive to that, but we're different than just like a straight cryptocurrency wallet. But we also don't require a smartphone. We operate on USSD. We also have a smartphone application. This problem, as everyone on this audience knows, is truly global, that you end up with people crossing borders, whether they're formal refugees or not. But this also affects 500 million people in Africa alone that rely on cross-border trade for income. It affects the 2.4 billion people still using feature phones around the world who currently don't have options of going to a bank and opening an account like some of us more privileged people have that option. And so the way that our product works is that someone creates an account on their mobile phone, and then they can deposit through local payments rails, whether that's mobile money in East Africa or the banking system in Nigeria. From there, they can know that their money is safe on this digital wallet. They can travel without cash, or they can stay put. Meanwhile, they can send and receive with friends and family across the world for free on the Leaf system. You can send and receive with anyone on Leaf for free. And when they're ready, they can withdraw to mobile money. So that's not just their own mobile money account, but to any mobile money account in any of the countries that we support. So it's reaching out to those people that might not even have a Leaf account and including them in the system so that they can access their cash when it's necessary. The way that this looks is one global wallet that goes with the customer wherever they go or wherever their money goes. And it's accessible with USSD or a smartphone application, as I mentioned. And there are a number of different functions. I'll skip this blockchain part for now. It's not as relevant to today. What I do think is interesting with regard to COVID is that most of the players that you see on this screen are legacy players. And our ability as a startup to react and pivot quickly is really highlighted when you reach a crisis like COVID. And so we're actually partnered with Western Union, even though that's the model that we would like to see eliminated in the future. And it's been very interesting to see how different organizations have been able to respond when they're trying to look after their staff, when they're trying to look after their portfolio companies for investors. The bigger you get, the slower you move, just as a general principle. And so COVID has created a very agile space for us in that we're able to adapt quickly and tailor what we need to do. That said, touching on the issue of partnerships, we would not be able to be operating today during and post-COVID without some of these legacy partners. And so I think there's definitely still a role, even if they're not able to pivot as quickly and respond as quickly. It's really leveraging the strength of both parties to say, okay, what can this legacy player do in COVID that I can't do? And what can I do in COVID that they can't? Speaking to more of the partnership side, so I mentioned Western Union. We were part of an accelerator program that they did, and so we've had an inside look into how they've been able to respond. Less than 10% of their transactions are digital on both ends, and so if being so physically based across the world, it's been a big challenge for them during COVID. One of the more interesting partnerships that we've been able to land during COVID actually was a partnership with EcoBank. And through this, we hope to operate on their payment rails in all 33 countries that they're in. But I think that what we found is that they were already fintech oriented before COVID. Now, in light of COVID, it's changed their strategy a bit to highlight the importance even more so. The other thing that's interesting is how we treat KYC and eKYC in a time in which physical proximity is risky. This is one that we see the regulators, you know, we can talk all day about regulating eKYC and how that varies country to country, but we've been able to move forward with that with more flexibility during COVID than we would have otherwise. I'll skip some of this to say, again, we're really looking to be not just pan-continent, but to be in other markets as well. People in Colombia and Venezuela struggle with this issue of carrying cash across borders. People in Myanmar and Bangladesh and in Europe. It's definitely not an African problem, but we think that Africa is the most exciting place to start with a solution for this because of the infrastructure that's already there, some of the legacy players that are already there, and this attitude of being willing to move towards innovation and towards new technologies on all fronts. So with that, I'll end the formal slides and say that, you know, I'm very happy to talk about different partnership opportunities and some of the flexibility that we've seen during COVID. Happy to elaborate on that. I know we've already got a question on risk, so maybe we can come back to that later. And thank you again so much for having me and letting us participate in this today.
Thank you so much, Tori Samples. Without wasting much time, we'll take the next presenter. The next presenter is going to be Raji Adegoke. I'll give you just 7 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ajetomobi. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Raji Adegoke. I am presently the Head of Financial Inclusion, Customer Experience, and Product Management for iTex. iTex is the proprietary service provider of PayVice. I will be standing in for my MD, Mr. N.S. Udoje. I want to appreciate Financial Inclusion, the organizers of this program, for giving iTex Integrated Service Limited the opportunity to come and speak about the strategic partnership to bring people and organizations together during the COVID-19 lockdown. However, what I've done is I've put together a few slides. If you give me the opportunity to share the screen, I'll just take the 12-page slides quickly.
Okay, you have the, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, without boring us with so much information, COVID-19 started late last year in 2019 in China. Different countries around the world had, different kind of experience with respect to the disease, pandemic, and the story is also not far-fetched from what we also experience in Nigeria. For us as an organization, that's iTex here, we've seen that COVID is actually coming in to change a lot of processes. So for instance, one of the extract information that I was able to, extract online from the World Economic Forum, which was our COVID action platform. There were 3 major focal points. One of them was financial inclusion. Now, financial inclusion was actually one of the action points that the World Economic Forum felt that it was going to be able to help, relieve the way businesses are being done during the pandemic. And you would agree with me that when processes like social distancing was introduced, we had the banks in Nigeria, enforcing that process where customers had to queue for a long period before they will be able to access financial service. Now, what has happened over time is that this has given back to the opportunity for agents, as an alternative touch point where customers can actually do transaction. Now, one of the second point is mobile solutions are proven to be a lifeline in emerging economy. So you would also agree with me that the mobile app, which serves as a self-service, actually today allows customers to be able to interact with the banks without necessarily leaving their area of comfort, okay? And the third of all is the fintech firms can use the opportunity to build their reputation and emerge stronger once the crises are past. So one of the examples I would like to mention today is today, as a licensed super agent, we have an integration to SANEF. Okay, SANEF is termed Share Agent Network Expansion Facility. SANEF today is saddled with responsibility of managing licensed super agent, payment service banks, and the rest. And today, what SANEF has done is that they have a sandbox where we have services like account opening across the different banks. So what that necessarily means is that as a fintech organization, you don't need to go and meet the banks to get APIs to connect and get service for account opening. As a licensed super agent, once you connect via SANEF on the sandbox, you have all the tier 1 account open APIs available to you. So that itself is an opportunity that's been created for fintech firms. This is also a clear indication of the importance of fintechs during this period. And then we're also saying that one of the unique capacity to extend financial inclusion is to improve lives of people and spur growth. While the virus may have forced us to adjust the way we operate, it hasn't altered our progress in any way. Okay, rather, it's important that it has given us, opportunities to look at things differently. To give you a quick background of who we are as an organization, iTex, we were incorporated in 2005, and today we have presence in over 19 African countries. One of the strategic strengths that we have leveraged on today is that we have partnership with all the over 19 commercial banks in Nigeria. And today, some of those commercial banks that have presence outside the country, we've been able to leverage the strengths to deploy different solutions across where they have presence. As an innovative fintech organization, it's interesting to note that we were part of the pioneers of the POS business in Nigeria when it started under InterSwitch as an ISO. And we grew from that point to an organization that is licensed by CBN today. In CBN, we have the PTSP license, which is the Payment Terminal Service Provider license. That license today allows us to procure terminals, develop applications on the terminal, deploy terminals, support and maintain terminals. The second of all is the super agent license that allows us to offer agent banking service, leveraging partnership with third-party service provider via our vast agent network to reach the last mile. And then the last license that we're almost getting approval on is a payment software service provider, which allows us to develop a various suite of software applications. We've come a long way. Today, I drive the agent banking perspective, from the point of view of how well we can create, how well we can come up with different strategy or different models of how to create financial inclusion. And today, we have a strength of over 7,000 plus agents transacting across 36 states and in 774 local government. We process today over 50 million transaction counts and what's over 75 billion in Naira worth. And we have a strategy before the end of the year to grow that number to 20,000, which is one of my portfolio, okay? So one of the major ways to crystallize on the opportunity of financial technology collaboration is to leverage on agent banking. So I would want to address this discussion focusing on agency banking. Today, all of us as stakeholders in the different financial ecosystem space, we have a full understanding of what agent banking is. And agent banking is simply an essential service of providing financial services, especially to reach the remote areas. Reaching the remote areas means that the so-called illiterate or the farmers, how do they have access to financial service? Now, today, both the federal and the state governments are coming up with various palliative stimulus measures, such as conditional cash transfer program to distribute food stuffs to cushion the effect of the pandemic, okay? We also believe that the agent network should be a veritable channel to distribute this palliative to household, working closely with the FG, the state, and the local government. So for instance, the agents are the closest unit or the closest touch point to any customer anywhere in the world, okay? Now, however you look at it, the government have a significant role to play, and playing that role means that they have to have collaboration with different stakeholders. And we believe as an organization that the government can leverage the strength of a combination of agents across the different service providers to achieve this purpose. Now, third of all, is the Nigerian government can use financial service agents to drive massive account opening among the beneficiaries of the conditional cash transfer program, which will not only cushion the effect of the pandemic, but will also contribute to the Nigerian financial inclusion. So one of such, like I said, is today, if a last mile customer, in the far remote area would have wanted to open an account, he would have had to travel miles away, would have had to spend time, would have had to spend some money, which is also not available. But what we're simply saying is that with agency banking, those kind of customers can be targeted via the agents. Tier 1 accounts can be opened. Instant card issuance can also be achieved. Likewise, BVN registration is also very paramount. Those kind of customers can also leverage BVN registration via the agent network. Today, we already offer all these services via the iTex Pay Service Agent Network, okay? Fourth of all is financial service provider, on the other hand, should come up with measures to support agents during the pandemic, okay? This could be through provision of soft loans, equipping agents with personal protective equipment, PPE, and online training.
Just about 2 minutes for you, Mr. Okay?
Precautionary measures that agents can take to reduce the risk of infection. Today, iTex is already at the forefront delivering some of these things that I have mentioned. We have it as a plan and as a strategy. We organize monthly customer service forum where we get as much of the feedback from our agents. So to be able to summarize, financial service provider also needs to seek business collaboration that stimulates transaction flow at agent location to help agent remain active and profitable. We believe that every agent network needs to be profitable, okay? And the much of the services that the service provider can aggregate as much as possible becomes of extreme benefits to these agents over time. Over the years, financial service agents have played their communities by extending access to financial service to the unbanked and the underbanked. And then lastly, agents can serve as critical access points for financial service that are essential, such as sending money to family members whose incomes have suddenly just been interrupted due to restricted movement. Now, as an organization, we align with the different policy makers. One of such is CBN. We have strategic partnership with SANEF. SANEF, like I mentioned, is called Share Agent Network Expansion Facility. Today on the list of SANEF super agents, you would find iTex. We have strategic partnership, like I said, with all the banks, okay? And then the partnership today has actually given us a lot of advantage to reach a lot more people. We have also strategic partnership with NIPS. NIPS today is called the Nigerian Interbank Settlement Scheme, which offers BVN registration, NIP services, just to mention a few. We also have strategic partnership with telcos where we aggregate data plan and airtime to our agents, which in turn gets delivered to our customer. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a few of what we think as a service provider. This is what we think we can do to create the synergic partnership between people and the organization. Thank you for your time and thank you for having me.
Thank you for your presentation. Am I on? I'm not too sure if I'm on. Am I on?
Yeah, you're on now.
I'm on now.
Sure.
Okay, the boss himself has taken over from me, so I think I'll just give him the opportunity to go ahead with his presentation. That's Mr. Wisdom Malo. He will tell you about himself. So we're trying to cut out.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, everybody. The audience, and then to you, Olu, for this wonderful program that you have organized. I think this is one of the interesting summits that we are experiencing, post-COVID. My name is Wisdom Alonso, like you rightly said. So I work with strategic impact advisors. So just to give you a little background of strategic impact advisors. Strategic impact advisors, impact advisor is a DC, but I lead the African team. So we work in about 12 countries in Africa, and our focus is basically to provide, consulting services to, donors, private sector players, and then also to other people in the area of digital financial services, digital agriculture, women economic empowerment, and then financial inclusion in general. One interesting thing about our organization is that we have driven a lot of partnerships. We've actually done a lot of programs that actually tested a lot of digital financial services and digital tool programs in the past, which as a result of that have become a sustainable models that are being used in a lot of countries in West Africa, East Africa, and then Southern Africa. Now to the topic for today, which is strategic partnership with organizations and then people in the era of COVID and post-COVID. I must say this as a teaser that there has been a meme running around during the COVID period, which is in the form of a question that says that who led your company's digital transformation? If I should ask this question right now, that in the year 2020, who led your company's digital transformation, I'll be getting a lot of responses around CEO, CTO, the local team, and then others also, majority people also say COVID-19, which is true and it's fact that COVID-19 or the pandemic have really driven a lot of organizations to really absorb the digital transformation that is needed in order to move their organization from wherever they are to the next level. And the likes of the service providers in Ghana, the telcos have really seen, jump in their revenue as a result of COVID-19, because a lot of traffic have been moved from our roads, from our offices to online. What does it mean? It means that now a lot of people are using the internet services, digital tools, digital solutions to actually provide services to their customers at the comfort of their homes. So I may say that, digitization is one of the key drivers to, the strategic partnership for organizations in Ghana, in Nigeria, and across the globe. Now, the result of digitization, I may say, is exponential acceleration of data, which is produced around the world. Data is being produced around the world. And then one thing that is very critical at this point is that we need stakeholders to be able to take advantage of this data in order to make meaningful impact in the life of customers that they are serving. Now, I want us to look at what are the different partnerships that are available in our dispensation. Now we do have operational partnerships where organizations come together, to put together their operational tools in order to provide services to people and then make sure that they also raise some good revenue out of that. Now there is also data sharing partnerships, which whether you like it or not, you cannot do away with, okay? Financial players, mobile money service providers, and other private sector players can never do without data, right? And that is why we need fintechs to come in and then support us to be able to reach this milestone that we need. And I think initial presenters, the first two presenters and first two sessions have really dived deep into this particular topic, and I won't spend much time on that. But my focus for today basically is to look at what are the key factors that will drive the partnerships that we need among people, organizations in the moment of COVID, and as we drive towards post-COVID, which is very critical. Once we are able to get hold of these factors, I believe strongly new partnerships on the ground will be able to build up and then be able to make some collective decisions that they need to make in order to make some huge impacts as we move forward. Now, the first thing I want to talk about as a winning factor for strategic partnership is trust. Okay, now to make this partnership works, there has been a high level of trust between, or there must be a high level of trust between organizations that want to partner together. Okay, in order to leapfrog the effect of COVID that is really having lasting impact in the life of our nationals and our populace in general. Now, a typical one is a partnership with identification verification provider known as Approve in Ghana and across the African continent, where they kind of use identity formulation in order to support financial service providers, support private sector players to make corrective decisions when it comes to their customers and their consumers. So I think this is a very critical one for the banks, because the banks really need the third-party data in order to make corrective decisions, in order to know what sort of services they want to provide to the end users, and then what sort of decisions they want to make as a result of the alternative credit platforms that are making sure that there's more traction on the ground. So trust is very critical. Partners need to have that solid trust among themselves, knowing where they want to go, knowing that once they release their data for the other partner, it's going to be taken care of. And don't forget about customer, protection laws that the government of Ghana and then the other government have also enacted to make sure that data for customers are kept confidential for a particular purpose. So, the trust level is something that we cannot underestimate at all. Now, the second piece I like to talk about, which is a strong winning factor for strategic partnership, is strategic buy-ins by senior management. Okay. Now, with organizations that want to enter into partnerships, and as a result of my past experience in my former place of work, one thing that was very instrumental, senior management team need to have a strong buy-in, right? In the year 2013, we kind of ran a project, where we kind of digitized crop payment for agricultural organizations and then agribusinesses. One thing that was very critical is that we got a strong buy-in from Tigo Ghana, where they kind of, seconded a person to lead a particular initiative, right? So at the end of the day, once there is a strong buy-in from the leadership team, you are sure of a sustainable partnership with this organization in the longer term, okay? So we need to ensure that we kind of help our organizations on the ground to understand what this strategic partnership is, and then how they'll be able to develop a stronger strategic buy-in within the various organizations in order to make sure that there is an existing and a sustainable way of businesses working together. The third one I like to share more insight on is the shared goals and mutual benefits, okay? For partners to be able to drive or strive on the ground, there should be a mutual benefit, okay? Now, one example I like to share here for your information in Nigeria is, you all know of Cellulant, which is a strong fintech organization in Nigeria, right? They have developed a mutual beneficial package with the government of Nigeria, where they kind of pay people through their platform, okay? They offer payment solution through their platform. And they've kind of also developed this same partnerships with a lot of banks in Nigeria, and they are thriving very well because there's a mutual benefit for them to be able to reach the people in the bottom of the pyramid who are the end users, right? So once you have that mutual benefit of reaching the end user on the ground, together as a partners, you'll be able to work together in order to achieve greater results. And not forgetting about revenue or forgetting about income, right? Revenue is very mutual for every private institution, right? So when entering into partnership, you should have that, mutual understanding and share goals in order to achieve that particular, goals that you have shared for yourself, which is revenue and then mutual servicing of customers on the ground. So, these are very important things that we also need to also look at. And a very important one, which is the technology cost sharing, is also very important for strategic partners to be able to thrive in their relationship. Now, platform development and servicing is obviously very expensive, okay? And then one organization or an institution may not be able to cover for this cost from the production, or if you like, from the platform development to servicing to, serving of customers, and then coming back to make sure that they service the platform, right? So when partners want to thrive together in partnership in moment of COVID and post-COVID, I would say that there should be that cost sharing mechanism where partners will be able to cost share their technological platforms, in terms of integration, and be able to work together as a team to really develop and make sure that they serve customers as needed. So this is very, very critical, and I think it's very important. And organizations like Agro Africa in Ghana and then Pan-African Savings alone are using this particular model where they are kind of servicing, smallholder farmers on the ground with digital savings products. So I think it's very critical. Then, last but not the least is the regulatory reforms, okay? A lot of speakers, in the past have spoken about this, and I don't intend to say more about this, but for the Bank of Ghana, together with the Ministry of Finance, earlier May, kind of enacted a regulation and legal reforms, which allows, fintechs to also come to play, right? So they created the sandbox mechanism where fintechs have the enabling environment in order to partner financial service providers, agricultural organizations, and then, insurance organizations and the likes, in order to come to partnership and see how best they can support this traditional organization to be able to service customers on the ground, which is very, very critical. And I think to throw more light on this regulation, the regulations cover 3 different areas. And I must say that the first one is around the National Financial Inclusion Policy, which look around the infrastructure, having a strong infrastructure on the ground in order to service people on the ground. And then the second piece is also talking about the Digital Financial Services Policy. What are some of the policies that they are going to bring in order to ensure that G2P payments thrive and other forms of initiative also thrive on the ground? And the last piece is the Cashlight Roadmap, okay? The Cashlight Roadmap, what is the roadmap that they put in place so that, I mean, in the next 5 years, Ghana will be able to, I mean, improve in terms of the financial inclusion agenda in Africa. So I think for me, I must say that for partners, fintechs, and the likes to be able to thrive in the longer period of time, I mean, banks and other players need to also lower the costs for fintechs, right? And you know, most of these fintechs are startups. They are not organizations that have been in existence with a muzzle to, I mean, compete with other organizations. So they should lower the cost, I mean, so that fintechs will be able to come to play and provide a very good services to customers on the ground, and also expand their customer base when it comes to reaching the unserved in our communities. So in a nutshell, this is just a quick run off of my presentation. I'll be so excited to answer any question that the audience will have. So thank you so much once again for this opportunity. Over to you, Olu.
Thank you so much. I mean, you took all my time. Unfortunately, there's so many questions here waiting for you since you asked for it. And I think is Tori still here?
Yes, I am.
And, okay, and Mr. Raji, are you still here?
Oh, yes, I am, Mr. Aditun.
Okay. Well, am I loud and clear? I'm not too sure.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. It's always good to do that check. I think one question here has been asked. Okay, question for Ms. Tori. And I'm just going to read the question so you will take it in order so that we just have about 10, 15 more minutes in this session. The first question is for Ms. Tori directly. How do you take care of risk and frauds?
Yes, and that's a great question.
I'll go again. Please take note of that because I'm going to read everything now. Another one to you is, how does your company compare to M-Pesa, PayPal, TransferWise in terms of money movement? What's your experience in terms of trust across borders in East Africa? So to say this question is for Tori from Moses Onitilo. First, the other one is from Professor Akuma. Another question for both Tori and Raji. What stops you in bringing your product technologies and innovations to India? India being so large and struggling with financial inclusion agenda. That's one of the reasons why we have this summit, so that we can actually integrate. That's an invitation to India for Raji and Ms. Tori, and what other fintech platform we have here today. So I think they will answer the questions. I'll go with Tori first.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for the questions, everyone. So risk and fraud, we get that question a lot. And I think it's particularly interesting during COVID, because if you think about who has been most vulnerable, most forgotten, it's those people that were never included to start. They're also the people that are most likely to be questioned and assumed that they're a big risk. So I work with refugees and cross-border traders mostly. And the thing we have to remember is that every refugee is a normal person. They are a normal person until something happens in their life that is outside of their control, right? So when we think about risk, you take the same risk-based approach that you take with any customer. And one of the very undignifying parts about having this label put on you is that it's very difficult to remove. So once you become a refugee and you have that name, that label associated with you, people take away your ability to be treated as a customer. They say you're no longer worthy of service because you have this label on you. That's how the banks treat them. That's how many services treat them. And so we say, look at it objectively. Let's take the same approach to risk that the mobile money company, the mobile money operators take. Let's take the same approach that the banks take and see that all of the research points to this market being just as bankable as the low to middle income market that are not refugees. So we do all standard KYC and AML, transaction monitoring. The thresholds that we're looking at are very low. Most of the time, our customers are never going to hit those transactions. We keep the same as mobile money, just with the transaction amounts that they're sending. That's one of the nice parts about being blockchain based, is that we can do those very, very small transactions extremely cheaply. So it makes it possible for these people that don't have the option of going into a Western Union or using World Remit or TransferWise even, because they're expensive. That does lead a bit into the next question about comparison to other companies. So different than M-Pesa, our company is cross-border, so you can send and receive money with anyone in the countries that we support. Different than TransferWise, and that TransferWise is mostly B2B, and then PayPal is all online. So ours does not require internet or a smartphone. It can all go through USSD. And then really focusing on connecting people to their own assets and to people that want to support them. What we've seen during COVID is that when people cannot travel across borders, it's more important for money to be able to flow freely. And that's what we're making possible. And during COVID, we've really opened that up beyond just the refugees and the cross-border traders to say, this is an issue now that is affecting everyone. For those people that are used to going to Western Union and picking up their cash, they can't do that anymore. They need a digital solution for that doesn't rely on smartphones and internet. So that's that. And then the last point I'll say is the trust question is a really interesting one. We expected that with all of the move to digital during COVID, that trust would also be affected and people would learn to trust digital products in a new way. I think that's coming, but there's a delay. There's a bit of a lag. People are being forced into digital before their mentality is ready for it. So we get a lot of questions about, well, where is your office? And can I visit your agents? And all of that is a proxy for trust. You know, they're not interested in where our office is. They just want to know that they can go to a person if they have a problem with their money. So we've seen that become somewhat of an issue during these digital times when we're trying to push people to be comfortable with customer support over WhatsApp and phone calls and SMS. And they're not quite ready, but we're getting them there. And I think that will continue, especially in places like Rwanda, where you've seen a 400% increase in mobile money just in the last 6 months. So we're getting there. And short answer, someday we would love to be in India, where we'll get there too. Thanks.
Yeah, Olu. If you can permit me to add some contribution to the question that was asked.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Awesome. All right. So I think additionally to what our colleague Tori just said, I mean, one thing that is also very important with the trust and then the fraud aspects, I mean, in COVID and post-COVID is that, you know, COVID has come in place, right? And we need to kind of adopt digital tools, digitization, to make sure that there is that connection between service providers and then the end users, okay? For instance, in Ghana, Liberia, Malawi, and then Uganda, we are doing a project, a USAID project, which is known as Women Digital Literacy Program, where we kind of developing a digital literacy curriculum, okay, where we are routing this through an IVR platform to actually reach end users on the ground. So wherever they are, on the ground, they can just dial in a USSD code, and then they'll be able to have some information around financial literacy, scam, and then trust, how to build their trust, and how to, have some certain knowledge in order not to be frauded on the ground. So I believe strongly adopting digital solutions and IVR service platforms to reach consumers on the ground through a USSD, a basic USSD, is one of the quick wins for us to be able to, reach our end users and then provide the necessary capacity they need in order to have the confidence they need for digitization and then adoption of digitization. So basically, that is just a few that I like to share on that.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Mr. Raji, are you up for the questions available for you? And there's a question for you so that you wrap it up in another 5 minutes. What's the social impact of iTech solutions on the grassroots and SMEs in Nigeria and all the markets you currently operate in?
Thank you, Mr. Jetunobi. Today, one of the tremendous...
Is Mr. Raji here? We can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Better.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Jetumobi. So today, one of the tremendous impacts that ITEX Integrated Service Limited has been able to achieve, in the Nigerian space is today we offer. So we started as an ISO company before we graduated to a PTSP, and today what we've done with that license is that we've been able to deploy over 70,000 POS terminal across our merchant location. And what I mean by this is that those merchants today is either a supermarket, a grocery store, a filling station, the different service provider, retail service provider that is trying to provide services to their customer, one way or the other. So what we've done is that we've given them a payment platform that makes it very convenient for their end customers to be able to transact on. That's one. Two, within the Nigerian ecosystem, what we've also done is that we're playing actively as a licensed super agent. And today we have a strength of over 7,000 agents across 36 states in 774 local government. And today what those agents are entrenched with is they have an app called PayVice. It's an Android app. And it makes it possible for an agent to be able to do different kinds of transactions, things like account opening, tier 1 account opening across the different banks based on the partnership we've leveraged on with NIPS, with SANEV rather. We also have NIPS, who is also one of our strategic partners, where we were able to allow some of our agents register new customers for BVN. In addition to that, we also provide other solutions to corporate organization, B2B. So there are the likes of other smaller organizations that are trying to provide tailor-made financial services. And today what they do is that they leverage our own platform to connect via an API to be able to render those services to their customers. So I would say in a nutshell that ITEX Integrated Service Limited today has been able to create a high-level impact, particularly in the area of agency banking, as we speak today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know if we have any other questions in line, and we can take maybe 1 or 2 minutes for a question. Any question in line? Okay. Thank you, all the presenters. You've really done well in this session, and we'll be heading straight to the next session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for having us.
Thank you. Nice having you here. Yes, I'm trying to. Thank you, everyone. It's been a great time here, and I know you all taking notes. Also, please let us try as much as possible to network. That's quite important. That's one of the essence of having this forum. The next session we're going to have, I think we'll just be jumping straight right into it. Permit me to quickly find out what the agenda is right now. I'm sorry, I just lost it a couple of minutes ago. Okay, thank you. I have it with me. The next one is digital transformation. How will COVID-19 accelerate the digital agenda? Digital transformation, how will COVID-19 accelerate the digital agenda? To do justice to this today, we have Jeremy Kwano, pardon me if I didn't get that name very right, and Professor Aguwa on a short notice will be joining us for this presentation. Is Prof here? Thank you, Tori Samples. I forgot to mention you. Thank you for joining us. I'll reach out to you later. Sorry, I forgot. Thank you, Wisdom. Thank you, Mr. Arachi. Is Prof here? Prof. Agawa, sorry, Taro Agawa, are you here? Mr. Jeremy Kwano, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Just gonna leave you to do a little bit introduction about yourself and get into the topic. Each of you have 8 minutes. Hopefully by the next 30 minutes, we should be able to wrap up this session. I think you'll do justice to time for me.
Sure. Yes,
it's nice to have you, Mr. Jeremy. So I think let's give the international man the first shot. Then Mr. Jeremy, you can round up, then we'll take our questions. I think that's great.
Thank you, Oliver. I really appreciate that. And, thank you for giving the opportunity, Jeremy, to have you with me on this track. I'm very happy that I would be hearing you as well. And I'm very happy that, 4 sessions have gone by and so much of knowledge has been shared. Really exciting. And I'm excited too to, share my views. So I am Professor Dr. Tarun Agarwal. I am a professor of management, banking operations, financial inclusion, literacy, and so many other subjects in one of the leading institutions in India. Before that, I have spent 25 years into banking, mostly into rural banking and strategizing as to how to grow banks, and have worked very closely into technology and promoting organizations in the financial inclusion space. Have written various articles and have been awarded by World Bank, the CEO, for 3 times in a row for having brought changes in the lives of more than 100 million families in India. So that's it short about me. Over to you, Jami. All right. Thank you very much, Darren. And thank you, everybody, for having me. My name is Jeremy. I am the current country operations manager for Jumo. Jumo is a fintech company that partners with large retail banks and multinational companies or mobile network operators to deliver financial services to the financially excluded. And prior to that, I did spend the last decade of my career in a tier 1 retail bank as well. But as we all know, in the age of digital, it was imperative to jump more into the technology space and find that intersection between business and technology. So I currently work with Jumo, who is based in South Africa, but has a presence in over 6 countries in Africa. And the entire goal is to democratize access to financial services to the financially excluded. So looking forward to having the discussion with you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think Professor Aguwa, you have the floor for your presentation in 7 minutes.
Thank you. Is my presentation visible?
It's visible.
Oh, thank you so much. Great. So sounds good. Thank you so much. I'll try to finish it within 8 minutes. So yeah, typically digital transformation has really taken leaps and bounds. I would say in not only in India but globally, because if you see the impact of COVID across, then it continues to spread in India and globally. The numbers are visible to you in front of you, and I believe some of the countries are having a second wave of COVID-19 as well, which is not a good sign. But then if we look at the digital transformation, which I will showcase in my in my other slides, that it is good for the digital transformation as a business. Overall, the India GDP contraction has been the highest among the major global economies. In fact, yesterday only I was hearing in the news that IMF has projected that the Indian GDP will contract by almost 10.03%, which is not a good sign for a developing economy, India as well. Moreover, the Indian FMCG sector, the fast-moving consumer goods sector, and the consumer spending has witnessed steep decline which is not good for the industry. But there have been, typical trends, certain behaviors, which is boosting the digital transformation. So the concerns which are coming forward are in the area of health concern, in the areas of financial concerns, and the emerging personas which are coming in front are like, the stocks are piling, the social conscious shopper is now coming forward to buy and give flip to the e-commerce, to the digital transformations. The convenience seeker is now getting, so much of knowledge in the space, so that, again, good for the digital piece. The bargain hunter is there. They know that now that there'll be no in-person shopping or in-person buying. So it'll again give a lot of impetus to, digital transformation. So while I speak, so this, I'm not going to speak only about the banking scenario or about the scenario which has led to digital transformation, but all about the overall transactions, giving a fillip to the GDP of the countries, whether it is developing or developed. So if we look at, there are certain promising emerging trends in the consumer behavior, which are and which will, over a period of time, will give the fillip to the entire process of digital transformation. So like higher focus is on health and hygiene and immunity, prioritizing spending on, hand sanitizers, disinfectants, immunity boosters, medical devices, masks, PE. Suddenly the industries have come up in the space. Fitness and health subscriptions have increased. If you just look at the graphs, so the liquid toilet soaps or branded, honey, or small FMCG products, their demands have really increased. And the second point would be the price spending on fundamentals is, enhancements in the expenditures towards healthy foods, home hygiene, fitness, medical is going way above 50%. And we see people reducing their spends on the other areas, like travel is really hit very hard. Luxury brands, no one is really going out to buy in the outlets. Apparel is suffering, no more dine outs. Apart from that, increasing prominence of home cooking mentality. So how it is giving a fillip to the entire digital transformation also, we will look at it. And then preference to contactless home deliveries are increasing like anything. Earlier, these aggregators, these organizations like Swiggy, Zomato, and the home delivery organizations were struggling to make their market, but suddenly, they are finding their own space happening. So typically, as the payments aggregators, for example, like, Paytm and other institutions in the country, they really got a fillip in terms of digital transformation. These institutions are also will be seeing a lot of fillip in the digital transformation area. There's a spike in the technology adoption. Education spend is increasing because the schools and the colleges and the institutions are closed. People are going in for, personal uh, internet connections for their children. Home and entertainment has come to a standstill outside. Everybody is, buying the Netflix and the uh, uh, prime aspects, and spending digitally, taking the connections there. And then, so the COVID has led to the growth of, consumers rapidly adopting to e-commerce as a regular way of purchase, where the order volumes have really grown by more than 20% rather than 17%. The long-term e-commerce trends show, a compounded annual growth of 20%, which is again, moving towards the digital transformation which is going to happen. So most of the corporates are also expected to, shift to a dual model of work from home and offices as a permanent option, which is again going to give, a lot of uh, thrust to the digital transformation. So I'm not getting into, details of all these aspects, but I'm just trying to bring in the various aspects which will contribute to the development of this space, the development of the new startups, the development of the new innovations in the digital transformation space. and not only in banking, but in enabling transactions, and transactions that has got speed, that has got created trust, and are enabled right at the doorsteps of every human being uh, here across the continents. Similarly, if we see in the health sector, there's a growing respect and importance to the health and social workers happening, healthy and preventive care, growing trend of anticipating health needs. All this is culminating in giving thrust to the entire
Also
piece
round
of.
up in 2 minutes, okay?
Absolutely, absolutely. I will do that. So delivery model of education, as I said, is witnessing a transition. Even the media entertainment is set to be revolutionized. As I said, people are, at home, and they are adopting these technologies rapidly and are very happy. In fact, I would not be wrong to say that COVID has made all of us learn a lot in this last 6 to 7 months, which is in the good interest of humanity. Less people are also dying, and less pollution is happening, and all this is helping in improving our health levels and standards and styles of working. Of course, leisure and travel has a hit, but I think the going forward, as the industry opens again, there'll be a lot of transitions happening. The permanent shift in the consumer preferences and attitude is happening. Digital experience, the preference is growing towards the brand. So what is happening is that quickly some of the brands have taken up this opportunity and have launched products which are delivered to the home, like so dial up in home portfolio products and social media campaigns. You can see you know turmeric oriented milk and Horlicks, and so many aspects have come in, giving boost to the entire piece. See so much of medicines and all kinds of detergents and all kinds of aspects. So these companies have come together and have taken up this opportunity in giving the required thrust to the entire digital transformation. And I'm being I've personally seen that some of the microfinance institutions, the payments and financial services organizations, and the technology services organizations have come together to build mini ATMs which can be put at the mom and pop stores, where the transactions can be enabled and all these products, all these services can be enabled and bought at. So that's it from me in short. And more, I would be very happy to take on the questions along with Jeremy as and when he finishes his presentation, and I look forward to an engaging dialogue. So over to you, Jeremy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Can we hear me? Am I on? Okay, over to you, Mr. Jeremy. You have just about another 8 to 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tarun, and a privilege to be here. So considering we're behind on time, I'll do my best to go as quickly as I can while still trying to remain as coherent as possible. I do have the privilege of speaking on this topic of how COVID has accelerated the digital agenda. But before I jump into that, let me just try and touch on what exactly my company does, because that forms the basis of what my insights will be. So essentially, like I said, Jumo is a multinational fintech company. And what we do is that we apply advanced data science, machine learning, and algorithms in collaboration with an end-to-end technology stack to develop digital financial services. In order for us to do this, we have to partner with retail banks and mobile network operators. And this allows us to leverage a customer's digital footprint in order to grant them access to certain financial services, particularly in this case, credit. So just like our senior Austin mentioned, co-petition and collaboration is our adopted way forward in that sense. And we also like to think of ourselves as contributing to the digital agenda of our partners by bringing together these large institutions who previously would have been competitors, allowing them to leverage their customers' mobile identity and digital footprint, and thus extending financial services to the bottom of the pyramid. So this is basically just a snapshot of how this works. We stay in the background, partnering with the financial service partners who provide the funding, whilst the MNO provides access to the customer base. And we allow them to use this to grant them access to financial services. All right. Now moving on to the hot topic, digital transformation. So just like Sebastian said, digital transformation has become one of the hottest buzzwords for the last couple of years. There's almost no board meeting or corporate strategy that has that you will go without hearing the words digital or fintech as part of their roadmap going forward. However, in prior years, if you had engaged most corporations on why they had been so slow and lethargic with their approach to digital transformation, you would have come across a couple of themes. The first one being a lack of understanding. So most CEOs would ask, what do you want me to invest in? You're talking about cloud, you're talking about agile, all these words associated with digital transformation. I don't want to look silly or ignorant because these are new things. So there was a general lack of understanding in prior years. The second is a lack of vision. People couldn't really see or clearly visualize what exactly this new intangible system or new proposed way of working was going to look like. So they were very reluctant in that sense. Also, the fear of failure or the fear of being rejected. Most of them were worried that their shareholders would reject this, their customers would reject this, even the staff would reject this. And it was one of the roadblocks to them trying to go into this. Then lastly, the prioritization of short-term profits. I think if you work in the bank, you understand that every year you have to justify all your investments and the initiatives that you took. And it makes it very difficult for institutions or large institutions to invest in the long term to things that are not readily realizable. What also didn't help was the fact that there were some large or recognizable news outlets that were publishing certain stats that were quite discouraging. So for example, Forrester mentioned that in 2018, more than 50% of digital transformation efforts fizzled and died out. Everest also came out and said 73% of the businesses that engage in digital transformation did not realize any real value from that. Forbes even came out and said 70% of all digital transformation efforts do not reach their goals. So these are some of the information or the news that came that were kind of holding people back from making a full-fledged attack into the digital transformation space. Then came 2020, and I think we can all admit that 2020 has been quite an unprecedented year. 2020 is a bit of an anomaly, but before this, I think that 2020 was one of the years that almost everybody was looking very forward to. Almost every strategy document had a Vision 2020 or Breakthrough 2020 or Destination 2020 in mind. And everybody was really looking to 2020 as that benchmark that they were going to measure their success on. But with the advent of the COVID virus, people could not have anticipated that we're going to be asked to work from home. The economic markets were going to be in a downturn. Some of these advanced economies were going to look like they are going to be in a recession. And a lot of the forecasts that we made were nullified. So I think that in the previous, off of this, you notice that certain companies were more engaged or ready for this. So for example, you're seeing things happen like a company like Zoom that only essentially does one thing. Its growth rate is dwarfing incumbent large companies like Netflix and Amazon just in the period after COVID. I think that it brought a lot of realization to a lot of companies that they needed to actively engage in this new normal or face the probability of getting left behind in a sense. I think in the previous slide, Wisdom made reference to a meme that was circulating. I thought I'd pull that up. But a lot of people were attributing the digital transformation of their company to the CEOs, CTOs in the past. But ultimately, the best mover of digital transformation in this year, particularly because of what has happened, has been COVID-19. So I think, Wisdom, this is just for your benefit. But I think that a lot of companies were also proactive in the sense that they began their digitalization journey before the pandemic hit, and it provided them a head start. So for example, companies that were already focused on collaboration or collaborative technologies before COVID were in the strongest position to maintain their business operations when social distancing came in, work from home became new realities. And likewise, those with most robust security mechanisms in place, such as like sufficient VPE licenses and multi-factor authentication, they were better positioned to transition into virtual working and protecting their sensitive information. So it then comes to the fore that in order to maintain this momentum, there's a few things that we need to do. So for example, my mother was someone who I still had to burn music CDs from if I wanted her to listen to anything that was audio. All of a sudden, after our last phone call, she said it's better we have these calls via Zoom. And for somebody like my mother to mention a technology like Zoom, it was such a big surprise to me, because over the last 10 years, she has been the type of person who was not even willing to even touch a pen drive, let alone understand what it meant. And you're seeing the same thing happening in large incumbent institutions. All of a sudden, people who had never learned anything or had never ventured into learning any of these things are becoming more readily open to these progressive technologies. And in order to maintain this kind of momentum, we have to consider a number of things. So re-envisioning controls and access. As the processes become more digitized, it's only logical that we also concurrently consider how to control the processes and also become digitized and make them more digitized and automated. We also need to re-engineer processes. And I think before digitizing the process, it's very important to evaluate the process to determine if it can be reorganized or re-engineered. I think now there's new ways of working that are coming up with agile methodologies. You're having a lot of institutions opening innovation offices or digital offices and exploring these agile ways of working to become more flexible and more nimble in order to copy the styles of the fintechs or the smaller startups. But I think those are some of the things we need to consider. Proper funding. In digital transformation is definitely not cheap. And it's important that you're able to justify what this funding is going into and get buy-in from the top, just like one of the speakers said previously. So proper funding is very required. And attracting the right talent. I think now more than ever, there's the demand for people who are a cross-section between business and technology, because that is ultimately where we're going. The intersection between business and technology, knowing exactly how the business strategy can be enabled by the digital transformation strategy is very key. And you need people who have the proper talents and are able to understand both sides of the coin in order to drive your institution forward. And flexibility. I think having legacy systems has made it very difficult for a number of companies to transition into this new normal. And it's very important that we figure out ways of becoming more nimble, more agile, more flexible with our system, so that when we are hit with things like having to send operational staff to work remotely from home, we don't have to ask them to carry entire desktops to home, or have to figure out ways of now inputting VPNs that we should already have had. So I think I'll leave it there. And I'm open to answering any questions that might arise subsequently. Hope I made good time. Thank you. Over to you, Olu.
Thank you, Jeremy. I think I'm on. Thank you.
Thank you. We can hear you.
Yes. Let's see if there are questions. Let's see if there are questions in the chat box. I'm trying to. Well, it would seem there's no question here for you. I don't know if anybody has a question yet. If there's anybody with a question, you can unmute your mic and talk. Permit me to acknowledge Mr. Chris Ife, the CEO of. Okay, okay. There's a question from Mr. Olusegun George. The question is, how do we get government to adopt this digital transformation?
So, Jeremy, would you like to take it, or I should go ahead?
I mean, I can start off so that you can chime in. So
go ahead, please.
I don't know if the person asking is from Ghana, but I would say that particularly for Ghana, in the case of Ghana, we are quite fortunate because we have a regulator and a government that has been quite proactive in the sense. And it was a slide that I left off of my presentation, but I think that in recent months, we have seen a lot of proactivity in the space in the terms of the rollout of 3 policies that are specifically targeted towards the digital transformation of the economy. And there's more of a push to try and include a lot more people into the digital financial services sector. And I think that what it took was one, COVID, but also the proactivity of some of the large incumbent players like the banks. So once the banks who are basically have the ear of the regulator, have the ear of the government, start to proactively collaborate with these smaller fintechs or start to go into more innovative practices or products and services, it begs the question as to why this is not being done by all the larger players. So even something as little as the digitization or going paperless was something that was just floated around till it started being actively implemented by some of these large incumbent players. And I think in Ghana particularly, we've seen that the proactivity of the Bank of Ghana has resulted in them setting up a fintech and innovation office, which signals to other players that this is a thing that is coming to stay. This is the way forward. And you'll notice that other incumbent players like the larger banks who are not interested are now following suit. And very soon you see that the government then comes into play. So I think it usually starts with each of the companies that are interacting in this space, initiating the process, and the chain effect follows through. As long as they see the value and the benefits in the long term, that's what helps. Thank you. I think, Tyrone, you can chip in here.
Yeah, thank you so much. A lot of emphasis have already started happening in the. Am I here? Am I audible?
You're on.
I'm sorry. So a lot of activities in terms of government adopting the technology is already on. In fact, India had gone through demonetization a few years back, and it is in fact even in the government circles, all the transactions, the transfers, and even now that in India, if you know, there's a Diwali season going to happen, so all the advances or the credit by the government department is given all by online, and in fact the entire emphasis is that to reduce corruption and to reduce all the malpractices in the system which happen due to the currency exchange exchanging hands is reduced to minimal, and a lot of emphasis is given to financial inclusion. In fact, a very large fund has been created for ground execution as well as for technology adoption and innovations of technologies in India, which is being controlled by one of the rural aggregators called as NABARD. So the amount is very, very large. In terms of Indian rupees, it will be more than 10,000 crores, which is available to the organizations who are taking their steps forward in the area of enhancing and deepening financial inclusion and taking technologies to the last mile or to the unbanked or to the poor, and thus contributing to the GDP of the economy. Apart from that, I think even the digital transformation is happening in the space of financial literacy as well. Innovative ways are being adopted. Financial literacy or financial education is being taken as the staircase, as the spinal cord to achieve financial inclusion, to achieve a digital transformation. And various financial inclusion material have been built and are being transmitted through media. Innovative ways of putting up movies, musics, and even innovative gifts are being given. Technological gifts are being given to the rural areas and to the unbanked areas where the technology adoption can happen and financial inclusion can really deepen as fast as possible. So thank you so much. You're on mute, Olu.
Okay. Can you all hear me? Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. I think we've gotten to the first half of this summit. We thank you. We've been able to maintain a good number of people here. People are watching us on YouTube and on Facebook live. Thank you, everybody. We can take a break now. But while we're taking a break, there will be a series of product that is being displayed. Just take your time while you're having your lunch and watch what we have. Thank you, Professor Tarun Agawa. Thank you, Mr. Jeremy Kwano. It's nice having you. I think we're building an ecosystem that everybody can network and develop the ecosystem. Thank you so much. It's
Thank
nice
you so
having
much.
you. Thank you for your presentation. Looking forward to you coming back again for the next session of this summit.
It's getting completely tough to test the product idea. Where on earth can I test my product idea? I go to the bank and I'm It's getting completely tough to test the product idea. Where on earth can I test my product idea? I go to the bank and I'm asked, who are you? Do you have a license from CBN? No. Oh, sorry, we can't give you access to our financial assets or APIs. I then go to a payment switch. I get a long list of requirements to meet before I can access their test environment. All I just want to do is test out my idea with their API. I finally listen to them, go to CBN and apply for a license, and guess what? I'm giving a list of several requirements to qualify for an approval in principles. It's getting tougher and tougher. I'm completely out of time. And then I hear about FSI. They open their doors and welcome me in. I sign up for membership and they validate my identity. I get access to their sandbox. Wow. I see a bunch of APIs. I build my first MVP. This solution works. It's getting better. FSI then gives me a report, refers me to CBN for a license, exposes me to their network of partners for mentorship, possible partnership, and investment. And you bet my dreams came true. FSI, enabling financial innovation, empowering startups. It's getting complete. It's getting completely tough to test the product idea. Where on earth can I test my product idea? It's getting completely tough to test the product idea. It's getting completely tough to test the product idea. Where on earth can I test my product idea? I go to the bank and I'm asked, who are you? Do you have a license from CBN? No. Oh, sorry, we can't give you access to our financial assets or APIs. I then go to a payment switch. I get a long list of requirements to meet before I can access their test environment. All I do is test out my idea with their API. I finally listen to them, go to CBN and apply for a license, and guess what? I'm giving a list of several requirements to qualify for an approval in principles. It's getting tougher and tougher. I'm completely out of time. And then I hear about FSI. They open their doors and welcome me in. I sign up for membership and they validate my identity. I get access to their sandbox. Wow. I see a bunch of APIs. I build my first MVP. This solution works. It's getting better. FSI then gives me a report, refers me to CBN for a license, exposes me to their network of partners for mentorship, possible partnership, and investment. And you bet my dreams came true. FSI, enabling financial innovation, empowering startups.
Hello, back. Hello, Baxi heroes. Are you thinking of a business to start or invest in? Then think of becoming a Baxi agent. I will brief you who we are and our Baxi products. Capricorn Digital Limited is an innovative digital company based in Nigeria. We offer innovative ways of distributing services like airtime, DSTV or GoTV subscription, money transfer, withdrawal, and lots more through our platform. I will highlight the benefit of using our Baxi device and the mobile app. Device and app is operational anywhere in Nigeria. Consequently, CDL agents can sell across all states in Nigeria. You earn instant commission on products sold on Baxi. You can sell over 30 products which can be paid for via cash or ATM card. Real-time customer service and maintenance support. Real-time sales reconciliation and generation of accounting reports. What this means is that for every transaction made, you can get the history. Our agents are provided with branding items to create visibility and awareness in your store. Durable payment platform that accommodates both cash and cashless payments. Service receipt is produced each time a transaction is completed, and many other benefits.
It's getting completely tough to test the product idea. Where on earth can I test my product idea? I go to the bank and I'm asked, who are you? Do you have a license from CBN? No. Oh, sorry, we can't give you access to our financial assets or APIs. I then go to a payment switch. I get a long list of requirements to meet before I can access their test environment. All I just want to do is test out my idea with their API. I finally listen to them, go to CBN and apply for a license, and guess what? I'm giving a list of several requirements to qualify for an approval in principles. It's getting tougher and tougher. I'm completely out of time. And then I hear about FSI. They open their doors and welcome me in. I sign up for membership and they validate my identity. I get access to their sandbox. Wow. I see a bunch of APIs. I build my first MVP. This solution works. It's getting better. FSI then gives me a report, refers me to CBN for a license, exposes me to their network of partners for mentorship,
No, I'm not here.
This afternoon, I want to discuss the reality of the power pyramid. And let me put it this way. Can you imagine the people that are watching an Atilogo performance, which is a kind of mystic dance in Nigeria where they form a pyramid and this guy at the top of that human pyramid, and believing that he's there by his own power. It's like smoking his own opium, because he's there on the shoulders of those that are carrying him. Those are the people that really have the power. Or imagine a football team where the coach believes that the sun rises and falls on him, and not knowing really that the players carrying him are the ones that are playing well and are happy with him. And if they don't, then, well, the reality sets in. We've seen some examples that I would not like to mention. This is the same in business and politics. The people at the titular head are there because they are standing on the shoulders of giants. And those giants sometimes don't realize how powerful they are in the power pyramid. It's the people that have the power, and it's the people that decide who they will carry up. If the people exercise this right wisely and put the right person up there, it also comes back by way of good governance to the people. The power indeed belongs at the base of the pyramid. Thank you very much.
I think we should start this session now. Thank you all for staying by. We're going to start now. I don't have access to control this. Mr. Shegun George, are you here?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're on, Mr. Fred. Mr. Shegun George, are you there?
Hello.
Mr. Shegun George. Okay. I think people are still. Yeah, I can hear you. I think people are still having lunch or breakfast or dinner, as the case may be. Okay, you're on. Or you're spot on.
Can you see me my video?
Yeah, I'm spotlighting your video. Do you have a PowerPoint presentation?
No, I will speak to it.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
But it's been great. It's been great.
Thank you. We're waiting for Clara. Mr. Dogan is here. Let me get across to Clara. I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to call her right away. Ella? So Fred, do you have the program with you?
Yes, I do.
What do we have now? I think we're coming in early.
It's starting at 1:30 Ghana time.
And so what time is it now in Ghana?
12:55.
So we are actually 30, so we still have 30 minutes of break.
Come again?
I said we still have 30 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Let's just work on your okay, you said you are talking through your presentation. So okay.
Yeah.
That makes
sense. So basically, it's going to touch on probably the evolution of the stages in the fintech regulation over the period.
Yeah.
And then we touch on Ghana specific regulatory roadmaps in the ecosystem, some of the gains that has been made, and that we look at the inherent risk and consumer protection that comes with fintech's development.
I think this
we also look at the gap in terms of regulatory and licenses framework with the evolution of the fintechs, and we look at a way forward in terms of regulatory response to all these concerns and stuff.
Yeah, Clara will be joining you, but she will be joining you in a couple of minutes too.
It seems I'm not hearing you much. Yeah.
You're not hearing me? Can you hear?
I can hear you better. I can hear you better.
Okay.
Now.
Okay. I think we need to. We might have to.
But it would depend. It will depend on what Clara will say ahead of me, because Clara also will attempt to give the Ghana specific regulatory stuff, so I can complement his efforts.
Yeah, let's wait for Clara. Mr. Oris Ochere, thank you from iTax. I can spot you. I think everybody can unmute. Let's even unmute. I mean, it's not ask all to unmute. It's break time, so we can all talk. We can all network. It's a time for networking. So it's only so. So I think I've asked everybody to unmute. So anybody, Mr. Chris Ife, can you hear me? I think I need to.
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I'm following.
Is that Mr. Chris Ife?
No, this is Wisdom.
Oh, okay, Wisdom, how are you?
Great.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, awesome show so far.
Yeah, thank God. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's all about everybody. I think people are just still trying to grab something because of long time. I think I need to get up and I can see some people eating me, but I think I might have to attend to the call of the stomach infrastructure too. But what's our uptake so far? Have we done? I think we've been able to catch up with time.
Yeah.
So I think I've presented all the videos I need to present. I think the remaining will be done tomorrow. I need to talk to Mr. Chris Ife. I just talked to him.
So, Olu, I wanted to find out something.
Okay.
So, is it possible to get a recording of the various sessions?
Well,
perhaps my session.
But yeah, we'll work on it. Actually, everything we're doing right now is being recorded, so we need to sit down and actually, segment it. Even this conversation is on record, so.
That's okay. All right.
Yeah,
so whenever it's ready, let's know.
Yeah,
Thanks.
definitely. We're going to work on it, and we'll do it each session after. So, yeah. Okay, it's 1:30. I think we just have about 2 more presentations, and I think that will be it for today till tomorrow. Yes, we just have. Wait a minute. We still have, yeah, we have, yeah, 3 regulation, customer experience, Kojo Dogan, Tolu Lope David, and crowdfunding. I need to get across to Matt Roberts. I've not heard from him in a while. I've not heard from him. Let's see. Is anybody experiencing crowdfunding here? Yeah, we can leverage on that. Hello? I'm muted.